This episode of Ladies Who Leap is brought to you by Pacific Business Partners. Pacific Business Partners helps women entrepreneurs replace the chaos of running a business with clarity, structure, and confident financial decisions, from bookkeeping and fractional CFO support to marketing strategy and operations. Learn more at pacificbp.com or follow them on Instagram at Pacific Business Partners. Welcome to the empowering world of the Ladies Who Leap podcast, where brave souls share their remarkable journeys of venturing beyond their comfort zones to craft lives filled with passion and purpose. What if getting healthier after 50 had less to do with willpower and everything to do with mindset? Today I'm joined by fitness expert Alicia Jones, and she's sharing practical strategies to help women get stronger, healthier, and thrive at any age. This is Ladies Who Leap. Hi, welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast. Today, my guest is Alicia Jones. Alicia helps transform the health and lives of women over 50 through her fitness and weight loss strategies. Alicia has appeared on various health and wellness television programs and produced and hosted Health Matters and The View Health and Wellness on Rogers TV. She has a BA in kinesiology and adds many certifications to her list of qualifications, including National Coach of Canada, NCCP, Advanced Sport Nutrition, Certified Group Fitness Instructor, Personal Training Specialist, and many others. So you come packed with a bunch of credentials. And from Canada. So I am very excited to have you on the show. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I love the fact and what you do for women over 50, being that I am well over 50 at this point, because your focus is on improving their quality of life. It's not just the aesthetics as to how they look, but truly their quality of life. So I just wanted to say that I love that part of your work, and we'll get into talking all about that. But I like to start with your childhood. So what person or experience that you had in your childhood contributed to who you are as an adult today?
Yes, and that's actually, it's not only who I am as a person, but what I have ended up doing. Because growing up, I grew up with a single mother, like many families, and she had to work in order to take care of my brother and myself. So in order to take care of us, my grandmother lived with us. But my grandmother, she grew up in a time when smoking was considered the norm. She was a nurse and she smoked. And
But that was normal. Yeah, I know.
It was. I mean, you could smoke in the doctor's office. Sometimes the doctors would have cigarettes. There wasn't all of this knowledge and understanding of that cigarettes are bad for you, that health is really important. You know, sometimes I see those videos even like on YouTube or something like that, where they're talking about what exercise used to look like. And there's these women with these belts around their bottom shaking type of thing. There wasn't a lot of understanding of what actually worked. And so my grandmother, no fault of her own, ended up smoking for most of her life. And by the time she was there to help take care of my brother and I, she was really sick. And so oftentimes she had to have a babysitter come in at the same time as she was in the house because she wasn't there to take care of us properly, as in she didn't have the energy to do that. And for me, my grandmother was the most important person ever. And so for her not to be there to take care of me, that was a big deal. Like that she was there, her body was physically there, but she would be napping or she wasn't able to go outside and play with me. And then you fast forward years later, she passed away when I was 15. And my mother was the complete opposite to my grandmother in terms of, now there was some knowledge that smoking was bad. She never smoked. She rarely drank. She did some fitness classes, and she liked to do Weight Watchers at the time for health, for taking care of her health and well-being. And so I had already started in the fitness industry at that time, but I wasn't sure on my path on what I wanted to do because I knew I didn't want to do these fitness competition type, let's be in a bikini and wear nothing and starve yourself. Like that was very much anti-me. And so I had a lot of clients already that were in the over 50 population. And the turning point for me was when all of them said to me that they would not do this charity run because they were too old. So the charity experience was the World Wildlife Federation. We have this huge building here. It's over 1,700 steps called the CN Tower, in case you don't know it. And I was trying to recruit people to climb the CN Tower, to run up the CN Tower. And the women said, no, we're just too old for that. So I ended up recruiting my mother, who was 72. And I said, if she's 72, so can you. That was the slogan.
I love that. Yeah.
And that was the big turning point for me. That was the moment when I realized, oh my goodness, like my mom was able to do these things with me. She was able to be the role model for these women who now felt that they were too old. And oppositely, because my grandmother didn't have that knowledge at the time or the education around what it meant to be healthy, not to smoke. There's a lot of propaganda about, yes, smoke, it's good for you, it's fine. And so I just saw this fork in the road. We can be like my mother, who understands what your health and well-being is, take care of ourselves, and grow into a really great quality of life. Be there for the grandkids, be there for the kids, and do these experiences with them. Or again, of no fault of my grandmother, not be able to do those things because she just didn't have that understanding of what to do. And so that's how I decided to get into the over 50 population. And that has seriously shaped me to this day, everything I'm doing.
So did you get into focusing on over 50 when you were younger then, even?
No,
Or did you have a career before you got into your own business of coaching people?
Yeah, I was actually in travel. I was traveling the world, and I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I had learned Spanish, and I lived in Spain. I learned French, and I lived in France. I went to Costa Rica. I had gone to all these places, and I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be in travel. And I had started to work in hotels when I came back from Spain. But when I came back from Spain, Spain was like my first home. I felt really connected there. It was the first time I felt like I really belonged. And coming home, it was a complete depression. Like, I was just so sad. Yeah. And so I started working in hotels, which helped a lot. But I started to realize that while I loved being in hotels, there was a lot of politics behind it. There was a lot of, I don't want to say professionalism. I'm a professional person, but I do blur the lines with friendship with my clients and participants in my program, and empathy, which I don't think necessarily in many hotel or professional settings you do. It's very much, you leave that at home, emotions are out of it, and that's just not who I am. So I found that working in the hotel industry, while I had some really great moments with it, I was starting to feel even more depressed. And the only place that I ever really felt good, or I felt like it was my time to think about things and figure things out, was at the YMCA. I worked at a hotel. While I was working at the hotels, I would go to the YMCA on my off days. There was people that I knew there that I could talk to. There was a track, and if it was like a weekend, I could walk for hours just with my Walkman on at the time, and just walk around the track and just feel really good. And then I was like, this feels better than anything else. This is what I want to do.
It's like you were trying to find out what was in alignment with you, because all the way you're explaining it is like something just wasn't in alignment with who you're supposed to be. And sometimes we're ladies who leap, so I talk about leaping out of your comfort zone. It seems to me the first leaps were literally going to other countries, learning their languages. I mean, when you first come into a country and you don't know the language, basically it's a leap. It's a courageous leap. And that had to really open your eyes, especially as a young person, as to other cultures and the fact that, being fit is universal throughout this whole world. Okay, so there's a common thread there. But then understanding that you just were not feeling aligned with it, even though the travel was good, but being in the hotels just wasn't right for you. So I give you a lot of credit for that, because that's a sense of awareness that not all of us have, especially when we're younger, like under 50 or even under 40. We don't put that two and two together And you had that sense of awareness where you realized, yeah, there's just something off here and I need to make a change. What was it that actually took you to take that first step to leave that job and, I would assume, create something on your own?
Well, the first step was that I started working for box gyms, actually. I started working for the YMCA first, and I loved it there. I loved the people, and there was an amazing woman that took me under her wing. She was an athlete, actually, at the time. We became very close. She taught me a lot. And at the time, I did not have a degree in kinesiology, and they only wanted personal trainers that had degrees. And so I decided to go out and get a certification and join a box gym. But I don't know if anybody knows the difference between box gym. At least 20 years ago, over 20 years ago now, box gyms were like the muscle men in the weight training section. There was a lot of, let's say, like patriarchy sensation going on in the gym. The women, again, I had a lot of clients that were in the over 50 population who are these radiant, confident women who entered the gym and lost all that confidence, were incredibly self-aware, and who felt out of place being there. Obviously, they felt out of place. This place was run by men at the time that were normalizing the experience of, come in, do these weights. It was intimidating to even think to go in there. And I think there's still a lot of intimidation. It's starting to change, but I think there is a lot of intimidation. And so I didn't like that ambiance. I love my clients, but I hated that ambiance. And so a friend of mine started her business that was in-home training. And I thought, you mean I get to work with these women in their home where they're comfortable, where they're confident, where we can start to work on that level of connection in a place they feel comfortable, where I can hopefully get them to fall in love with fitness and being healthier. So I did that. And then after working with her, then I decided to open my own business. And then it's been like that ever since. Everything to do with in-home. So it was an in-home business for personal training. And then it turned into all online. So there you go.
Wow. And that's a natural progression. But yes, I think a lot of us that are listening right now remember those gyms and the feeling just like, no, this is not, I didn't feel comfortable in gyms. I did it. I mean, we went because I wanted to be healthy, but now I actually have my own spot in my garage. So yes, and I think a lot of us women, because you don't need a lot of stuff actually to work out. You don't necessarily need that whole gym. I mean, to get cardio, it's a little different, but you can now buy things where you can, walk on the treadmill or run on the treadmill or have the bicycle.
There are a lot of really great gyms for women, or that where women now feel included nowadays. It was 20 years ago that we're talking about this. And I do know that there are still many gyms that don't have that ambiance yet. And many women still do feel self-conscious when they go in, or like unsure of what to do. And even the feeling of going into a gym, you can feel like, okay, there's a lot of pieces of equipment here. This is overwhelming. What do I do? And how do I do it? So,
yeah, because even I remember whenever I first joined a gym, they would offer, which is a good thing, a good gym anyway, would offer to say, okay, you have 2 sessions with these people. And that would be, okay, what is good for you? What is your goals? And then they would tell me which machine to work on. Otherwise, especially when I first started, I was completely lost. I had no idea what to do. Your offerings, like we had talked earlier, are online. You have a 12-week signature program. It's called Over 50 Fit and Fabulous. Love that. Iterations are my thing, ladies who leap. Oh God. Can you give us an idea of what the focus is with your program and how you keep it kind of easier to understand, which is just what we were talking about?
Yes. Yeah. So this is mainly for women that are either just getting started with not necessarily their fitness. Maybe you walk, maybe you do a Zumba class, or, jazzercise or something along those lines. And there's something that you like, but you've heard how important weight training is, which is absolutely valuable as we age for strength and quality of life.
And osteoporosis.
And osteoporosis, bone density as well. And so you want to learn how to do it in a way that's going to prevent injury, create a strong foundation right from the get-go, or you've been trying to lose weight and in midlife, it's been a lot harder. Something has shifted. And again, like we've talked about, it's not necessarily like I'm not ever going to tell you to go in a bikini, that sort of thing. But it is about like less pressure on the joints or, feeling healthier. If you're going through menopause and you're feeling those symptoms, to feel better, able to cope more, to manage. And so it is a 12-week fitness, strength training based and weight loss program. And then you get through the 12 phases, you can add on some high intensity interval training if you want. But I really am adamant about the group portion of it. So you do not have to show up to the group meetings, but you can always watch the replays anytime. And that's really where the support comes in and the tailoring. I want this program to be something that everybody can have that is tailored to them. So the bones and the structure of the program are all there. And then in order to work with me and the women that are supporting you, either show up to the group meetings or watch the replays to get some more help and tailoring.
Okay, so help me understand. So there's one-on-one work, and then there is group on top of that, or is it all group type of workouts and things?
So it's all group, as in you meet once a week for the group support. That's the support seat meetings. And then the workouts are done and the step-by-step on how to eat and exercise for your age, your stage of life. We go into adaptation phase, which is phase 2, which we talk about adapting to your hormones, your health, if you've got certain conditions as well. And one of the big topics that comes up a lot, especially in the group support, is the emotional eating side of things, or how to be more mindful of your eating. Because yes, I do talk a lot about the science. I'm a science gal. And so you are talking about the macros, how much protein and, how to adapt things to your hormones and what the science says. But we all could hear 1,000 times over what the science says. And just because you know that does not mean you're going to do anything about it. So we need to take a look at psychological barriers. We need to debunk what willpower is, because it does not help you in any way with your exercise, your motivation, nothing. So we go into detail about that and the strategies that work with it. So new ways of looking at your food and your fitness to help alleviate guilt that comes around food or food shame, and gives you some strategies to work through that aren't just the macros, although don't get me wrong, I am really big into macros, but if we only talk about the science and we do not talk about the psychological or the lifestyle component, you're never going to find your forever program. You need to have both.
Yeah, and that's a part of what I do as an emotional transformation coach, is release and remove all the things that are stuck in your mind that could contribute to the reasons why you're overeating and why it's very, there's an emotional side to that. So that's something that also I've helped to release for women so that they can move forward without it. I will be selfish in asking you this. I have a tendency, and it's very difficult for me, to eat while my day is done, I'm exhausted, I just want to just plop in front of the TV, eat dinner, and then just watch mindless TV so that I can then just wind down and go to sleep. Once I finish dinner, though, and I see the clock ticking, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I just want to put something, it's almost like the physical act of just munching on something and putting it's like I would be bored just sitting there. I know this is it may be common, I don't know, but is there something that you tell people or women to kind of combat that?
Yes. And again, it really depends on what's going on with you. You know a lot about this work. So I'm sure you've done a deep dive into what that is about. One of the things could be that you do not have willpower at night. You made a lot of decisions during your day. Every time you make a decision, you have worn out willpower because it is a cognitive process. Some of it could be when you're talking about turning on the TV and then eating mindlessly almost. That's also, for some, a numbing mechanism. So it's a way of saying I am no longer, I'm not going to feel what I need to feel. I can disassociate from my hard day, de-stress. And then for some people, it's as simple as it's almost like that barrier for you. So you've had this day, you've been on switch all day, and you say, okay, the second that I'm done eating my dinner, my day is done, and this is the barrier now to relaxation. And so everything after that is just relaxation, and the association between food and nibbling is your relaxation.
Uh,
Mhm. So there are a lot of reasons, so many reasons that I've heard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think your reason would be?
I don't know, except maybe boredom in a way, because I've been going, I just go all day. And then when I finally just sit, I mean, mind you, I'm watching funny stuff, things that are interesting to me, but it's almost like my body just needs to, it's got to keep moving. And so even if it's just the act of eating, it's like physical, it's moving. And I know from human design that I do like noise and movement when I eat. So I don't know if that's somewhat connected. I do have to look more into that. But I'm
I
sure I'm
don't
not the only one that has had that issue.
that was one of my issues before, and one of the reasons is because I can't be off. So for example, like rest is my hard issue. And so lying there, like, and I find this especially on a weekend, like if it's a day that I just decide to lie there, no, I can't lie here. I've got things to do. I've got to rearrange or, and I can eat really well all day, and then I have to think about this exact thing at night. And it was trying to figure out how to give myself permission to be still and not to move and give myself that rest that I needed. So the craving I was having wasn't the food, it was rest.
Interesting. Okay. So what would be your best piece of advice that you can give for women over 50 who have never worked out and want to start?
Do anything. I know there is a lot of overwhelm out there. That's actually some feedback I've been getting about, they come to me and they say, like, there's so many things on the internet, they contradict each other, everything. It becomes so overwhelming. And it's gotten to the point where the amount of information out there is so wide, so varied, so hard to disseminate that many women who just need to get started, just start moving, are paralyzed with that feeling of I'm not sure what to do. It's just too much. And so any movement when you're starting is going to help you get stronger, healthier, fitter. It is the first step. And then once you've done that, that's when you can start adding on or saying, okay, what is the next steps? Maybe some strength training or, maybe just focusing only on nutrition, something. But it needs to be baby steps, one step at a time. And I know it's really hard in this world of information overload, but just take one thing, run with it, and get started.
And I would think what helps me is if you have a dog, just taking them on a walk every day. 'Cause number one, it's good for them. It actually is really good for the dog, but it's also good for you. And for me, once I started working every day, because I had done all kinds of things, lots of heavy workouts, which was running and all the weight training and all that kind of stuff. I was less about the big machines and more about laying on the ground and doing stomach crunches or whatever, and using free weights. In my case, when I use heavy weights, number one, I'm super sore for days. And then that is, you're not motivated again. It's just, it really cuts that motivation. But also I bulk up and I start looking like a man. So
Oh, interesting.
so that was like, okay, I have that kind of muscle structure where, if I use heavy weights, so low weights, more repetition was fine for me. It toned things. It really brought out my muscles and really built them, but I wasn't looking like a man.
Oh, gosh.
So, I like asking this question. Who do you go to when you need support?
Yeah, I still go to my mother. Like she was the one who did the CN Tower. She's still the one I go to. I think the relationship, we're both adults now, obviously. But anytime there's something really big, she's still the one I go to. Always.
Yeah,
Mhm.
emotionally, in any way. Yeah. How old
Yeah.
is she now?
She's 82 and she's a retired therapist.
Natural
Helped. Yeah. Things have shifted because now she's further and further away from when she was a therapist. And So sometimes I feel like the switch has flipped a little bit. Like I'm kind of like, okay, well, that's not rational, or, let's talk about it, that sort of thing. But it's still there. For all the big things, it's still there. Even if every day, I can get a little annoyed, like, oh, learn how to text or something along those lines. She's still the one I go to. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And we'll be right back. What if the life you're dreaming of doesn't require becoming someone new, but finally becoming you? At Ladies Who Leap Coaching, I help women discover their confidence, purpose, and authentic identity using my Identity Bloom method. And I have changed many women's lives, and some men's lives too, to a place of self-love and self-trust. Join my Identity Bloom Circle group program at a low cost point and start growing into the life you were meant to live. You can find it on my website at ladieswholeap.com, because your next leap begins with you. Now, back to the show.
So, and from an emotional perspective, and we talked a little bit about this, even with my question with the eating, later in the evening, what would you say is the most common issue that women have with working out, with health journeys from an emotional perspective for women over 50?
Yeah, I think first off, there's a lot of baggage still for everybody when it comes to fitness, when it comes to even weight loss. People are cringing right now, probably hearing that word. It sounds hard. It sounds guilt-ridden. It sounds shameful, right? And it's the same with exercise. It's like there's this notion that, it has to be hard. You have to punish yourself. It has to hurt. And like you were talking about with the heavy weights, like, oh, it's gotta, that must mean I'm doing something if I'm sore and achy. And I think what we need to do is really build this new relationship with exercise, with weight loss, not as a deprivation, but if it is something that you want for your health, it's about reframing it. It's about what can I make that's delicious and healthy for me, or how can I move today that doesn't feel like a punishment, and start to rid ourselves of the guilt and shame that go around food and fitness.
Yeah, I had one friend, and she's really good, and she said, because I found out I'm pre-diabetic, and I was like, no, that food's bad, and I can't eat that. And she goes, no, 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 food is not bad. You're labeling it as bad simply because you think that it's not something good for you to eat. But get away from calling food bad. Welcome in the good food and appreciate it for what it is and be grateful for it, rather than giving it the moniker of bad. And I would think that that even comes in line when a woman's first starting that health journey of working out. Oh, this is hard, right? There's another bad, like a negative word that's brought into it. Yeah.
And this reminds me of when you were speaking about not eating after dinner, because a lot of people say, okay, once I've eaten dinner, that's it. I'm not supposed to eat anymore. Like if I'm doing like a 12 or 16-hour fast, or, I just am not going to, like, I'm not supposed to eat after dinner, so I don't. But then the second that you do that, you are creating this conflict within you that is a pushback against that immediately. It is going to be like, oh, I'm not supposed to. I shouldn't. Like, what I tell my clients is everything is on the table, literally. You can, as long as you understand why. I ask them to recognize, is it your heart? So it's coming from an emotion. Is it a craving, like maybe nostalgia, like it's reminding you of when you were young and, there's this food that you just love, or is it real hunger? Where is it coming from? And reflect on that before you eat. So if you can have whatever you want at nighttime as you're lying there watching your TV shows, as long as you can reflect on it. I usually give like a 5-minute window, reflect for 5 minutes. And not just let's turn on a timer for 5 minutes and say, oh, when do I get to eat the thing when this timer goes off? Like actually reflecting, where is this coming from? And if it ends up being something that at the end of those 5 minutes you genuinely want, we'll have the thing. And some people I ask to reflect afterwards because it does bring up guilt or shame. And so by reflecting on that again, you can start to create the pattern. See, okay, this is why I do this. This is why I'm eating this way. This is what I feel when I do. What do I need to break? What habits or thoughts do I need to break?
Yeah, and I do love dark chocolate, and because it does have the lowest amount of sugar content. But I realize I can't eat it after lunch because when I did, and when I became aware of this, when I eat it later in the day, I couldn't sleep because it's got the caffeine in there. And so it gave me, just like you said, I reflected on it. This is all doing this without having heard this from you. But I realized, oh my gosh, I can't. So at least I could cut out one thing that was late in the day because I can't have the chocolate. I just can't. Even sugar-free chocolate, it's still got the caffeine in it. So no, that can't happen or else I won't be able to sleep. And I love sleeping. So, and I want sound sleep. I don't want to be woken up. Yeah. So is there anything new on the horizon for you or anything projects that are coming up for you that you're excited about?
Yes. So I'm not, when is this airing?
In what did I say? August or October. So just talk about, because this will be on forever. So once anyone sees this, I'm sure you would have launched what you're talking about. So what is this that you're launching? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a free masterclass that talks about the 3-phase food and fitness formula every woman over 50 needs to know. We talk about how it needs to fit your lifestyle as well. So I go through the protocol. We talk about how to make it fit your lifestyle, how to hopefully get rid of some of the guilt or shame that you're feeling around food. Because at the end of the day, if it does not, if the only reason you're eating that yogurt is because you have to get your protein in and not because you like it, then you will never stick with it. So I'll give you the link for that.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll put it in the description. And then my last thing is sharing your favorite quote, mantra, or positive affirmation. What is that?
Yeah, there are a lot. Lately, the one that I have been saying the most is empathy is the difference between coach and critic. That is the big one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Do you know who wrote that, or is that something you?
I don't know who wrote that. I listen and look at a lot of what is going on out in the world a lot. And what was really upsetting me was there's a lot of coaches telling us what we have to do, what we should do. I like even today I saw something that was like, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't work out after 50. And I'm just like, what the heck, man? I think that many of us coaches, not we necessarily, but many come from an athletic background who have done this their whole life and who are like, yeah, you should keep it black and white. You should be disciplined. You should be motivated. Just do X, Y, Z. Break that habit, that sort of thing. And I was just like, you're missing the key component. You're being a critic. And I think being a coach, it's all about really coming with empathy and understanding and hearing why someone is struggling. What is it that is in their way? What are the roadblocks? And then meeting them halfway. Like I can't just give you all the ice cream you want, but maybe we can figure out, how to fit that in or meet you halfway for what is going on with you. And I think that's the missing piece for many. And that's why I was like, I need to find a quote that really finds or encapsulates this, that really talks about this, because I just felt like this was the missing piece.
Wow, I like that. And it is so true. Fear or telling someone you have to do this is the first step where they're going to push back. And you don't want somebody to push back when you're trying to make them healthier. You want them to adopt it and to take, like you said, baby steps and get into it and to do it slowly. I mean, I did a 30-day challenge on my upper body, right? A workout they had. 30 days, get your arms ready for the summer. And then I kept doing it. And it's, it was whenever this is evergreen. So it's been about 8 months, I think. Yeah. And I now have super strong, great looking arms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a simple thing that somebody put together online. And so I kept that 30-day challenge. This person actually did another 30-day challenge with stomach muscle stuff. So I alternate between the arms and the stomach, and I do both off and on each day. Hey, it works. And it's slowly doing it, not killing yourself. When you're at my age, I'm, in my 60s, doing it, you get the results eventually. Be patient too. I guess that's another thing I would say. For those of us older, it takes a lot longer to affect your muscles. So please be patient with yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And think of it as a lifestyle instead of getting to that. Well, I mean, I don't think I need to tell. I think every woman listening to this, if you're in the 50 plus or even 40 plus category, I mean, it would be great if you look great in a bikini, but who cares? That's not really the goal. Like, that isn't.
It's to be healthy. It's to be
It,
healthy and to live as long as you can for your friends, family, your children, everybody. Yeah.
as long as the quality of life is there, because that's another thing. When you look at the last couple decades, many people are alive, but are they? Because they're just, sitting in a chair, unable to really get up or move. Um, Personally, I would rather have quality to the end than an extra 20 years lying in a bed, unable to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's very true. Well, how can people reach you, Alicia?
Yes. So I'll give you the masterclass link. And then if you go to aliciajoneshealthyliving.com, that's my website. And I am on YouTube. I have beginner workouts. I have exercises. I have talking all the things, either getting started or if you're more advanced, there's some things in there too. And it's broken into little workouts that are under 5 minutes, over 5 minutes, and then a whole bunch of myth busting videos as well. So
Is it
that's
in your name? Is the YouTube in your name, or is it under the what is it? Is it under something else, your business name? What is it?
no, it's Elise YouTube. I think it's like if you look up YouTube Alicia Jones Healthy Living, then that's where I am.
Okay. And I'll have the link underneath us. I'm sure you can see it right now, and it's all in the description.
Okay.
Thank you for talking to me. I'm so glad we got together. This was really informative. And just, I want everyone to leave this thinking you can do this. You can do this. If you have never started, just take baby steps. Get a hold of Alicia. Just take those baby steps. Watch her YouTube. And then at some point, if you want to be even more embroiled or, get your coaching, to actually get a hold of you and to really start that program. Yeah.
You can do it.
You can do it. Everybody have a great day. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. And if you have a Leap story to tell, I'd love to share it. So have a great rest of the day. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to Ladies Who Leap. This episode was brought to you by Pacific Business Partners, helping women entrepreneurs build businesses with clarity, structure, and soul. If you're ready to take the next leap, learn more at pacificbp.com or follow at Pacific Business Partners on Instagram. And I'll see you in the next episode.